to say. For me, it feels a little too late, but the market is still hailing it anyway.
Yeah, look, we'll take it. And I think first, I think that what the market is missing is that a year from now, there's a realistic chance we're 200 basis points lower on the front end. Okay, nobody's talking about that.
Wow, those are Trump numbers.
Well, look, you're realistic.
The Fed's going to cut 200 basis points.
If we continue to track where we're tracking right now, where you get core month-over-month services ex shelter sub 2%, and core month-over-month 2% or lower, why wouldn't the Fed be at 2.25 to 2.5? Right? Why do you need to be hundreds of basis points restrictive? We are more restrictive now than we have been the entire inflationary cycle. So that's my first thought. And the fact that Powell's going to relent a little bit here, it's like you're wrong, and you've been called out for your political biases. Dagan brought it up earlier. The 2-year yield is screaming in the Fed's face that they're off by at least 50 basis points right now, if not 75. Right? Because the short-term rates 4.25 to 4.5. The 2 years at 3.75. The 2 years should be at or above where the Fed is. So the bond market is saying you're an idiot, Jerome Powell, right now, and has been for a while. So it's good that we're getting it right now, and he's not going to drag this out until the end. And you got to love all of these former Fed presidents and these experts talking about tariffs and how they're going to be inflationary, or if they're one time and they're like a tax. Not a single one of them was out there saying, hey, if the big beautiful bill didn't pass and tax rates jumped, that was going to be inflationary. These taxes are only inflationary because Donald Trump is president when it comes to tariffs, right? It is totally transparently ridiculous. I've had enough of it. I can't wait to see them go. And it's good that another Fed board governor is on her way out. I mean, this is clear cut and it's mortgage fraud. You can't get 2 mortgages in 3 weeks, one in Michigan, one in Atlanta, that says they're your primary resident.
I like how you did that. I like how you did that. So it was a confluence of circumstances. But Dagan, the bond market.
We'll see where that is 6 months from now, 9 months from now, after they start cutting.
But it has not changed since. We're so much higher than we were prior to the pandemic. It is it is spiked and it's leveled off, but it's still close to 2.5%. I'm just saying that there's been permanent damage done to bondholders' expectations of inflation, and it's now embedded in their thinking and in their actions. So there's only the central bank can only go so low now because of the damage that's been done.
A good rule of thumb there is,
I don't know, you had Bullard out there saying he could easily see 100 basis points the other day, and then
that's Bullard.
But he's in the running for the next
But he ain't the Fed chair.
I know, but look,
that could be why he's saying it.
And what do you think if Lisa Cook stays in her seat for next month?
Oh, that's stubborn.
If Lisa Cook stays in her seat for next month, you think she's going to want to cut rates?
Well, not now.
I'm going to bet you a burrito that we get a rate cut in September. I'll bet you a burrito. Is that a fair bet?
It helps me either way. Now, I think we're going to. Okay, fine.
I think we can. No, I think we.
So before this next cut, you're going to get the revisions.
Yeah.
Right? And there's going to be a massive downward revision, a lot of it having to do with this birth-death adjustment.
You're talking jobs.
It's like 550,000 to maybe 800 based upon gold.
Okay, jobs that just never existed, right? That the BLS
I agree with that.
And so a lot of drama about E.J. Antoni going in there. But this has been broken since COVID, right? It is hard to collect this data with the methods that they use, and that you throw a partisan spin into it. And I believe in, from the middle of 22 to the middle of 24, out of those 24 data prints, right? Something like 20 or 21 of them, the initial print was above expectations, only for by the third revision to be below that, which is like an 11 or 12 standard deviation event, which is the equivalent of me walking outside, getting hit by lightning, walking another 10 feet, getting hit by lightning again. It's an impossibility without fraud. And so we don't really know what the labor market looks like. You have no idea. Weekly claims and continuing claims that are just data in, data out show something fairly steady, but all the data we've been getting from the Bureau of Labor Statistics on the other side of COVID, it could be much worse, it could be much better, but we have no idea. And until somebody smart gets in there and you get some sort of Doge-like effect where you're using AI and data and new data collection techniques, we have no idea what the labor market's going to do, but we're going to get a nasty number right before the next Fed meeting.
Yep.
Okay.
Maybe I'll buy a burrito then.
Can we look at the 2-year and the 10, can we put them up next to each other?
The market doesn't care if you have a tech startup logo. That's not what. Mike, do you ever look at a logo before you make an investment?
Well, I just got to say, what I do look at and what I think about, and like sometimes it doesn't stop me, but if the people running the company hate you, they hate everything you're about, and they hate everything you like about this country, do you really want to do business there? And like, unfortunately for me, that was not enough to deter me from drinking Bud Light. But it will deter me from going to Cracker Barrel, and as I'm sure it a lot will. And there were a lot of people, like Bud Light was #1 selling beer in the world. They'll never recover that market share, ever.
Yeah.
Ever. And so why does Cracker Barrel want to do that to themselves, right? Like, who are you going to pick up? All of a sudden, these hip young millennials are going to stop shopping at Sweet Green, and we're going to go to Cracker Barrel? Like, who are you? Like, why?
Well, the who are you question is interesting, because is there a trend, is there a generation of business marketing people kind of who all went to the same schools around the same time, and they all kind of have the same philosophy? I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a little bit leftist. It's maybe a little bit woke, and they're all getting into these positions and systematically taking brands with identities and trying to make them into the thing, I guess, that prevailed at their institution and in their background. And Cracker Barrel's the latest victim, but Bud Light was in there, and there've been plenty of other examples. I think.
Why not do it in the tech sector?
That's what I say. Rescind it. My favorite word.
So the whole reason we're here, though, is because 90% of NVIDIA's chips are made in Taiwan by Taiwan Semi. Okay. The bulk of our semiconductor manufacturing happens outside the U.S. You need for it to happen here. And unfortunately, this idea from the Trump administration got put into place by the Biden administration. There's mountains of regulations on the type of DEI construction firms you have to use to build them out. And we are nowhere near the progress we should be.
It's economic fascism.
Yeah.
And so if you like.
So it's even in the state of Florida where I live, deep red Florida, right? You haven't had a Democrat governor. I don't even. But the amount of investment in the energy grid there has all been green energy, with Republican legislature, Republican governor, right? And this is a countrywide problem, as now we make this turn on a dime to the energy grid to try to demand more power. And so it's not just baseload power. It's okay, we can build more baseload power, but how are you going to actually get it out to homes and wire all up the infrastructure? This is a problem we need to solve immediately. And there hasn't been any meaningful fossil fuel investment in the existing energy grid in some time. And I think you have this corporate buy-in to a lot of these green energies. And so even Republican legislatures were okay with it. There was a bunch of Republicans that voted for the Inflation Reduction Act, right? Kind of like the Affordable Care Act. The opposite ends up happening, but it's all based on the lie that somehow the world's gonna end if we don't solve this problem. Last one, why don't they talk about climate change in China? Because they already have communism there.
Mic drop. Coming
Wait, I don't think Republicans voted for the Inflation Reduction Act. They voted for infrastructure.